Hello, everybody. Nice to see you. Today, I'm going to talk about showing property in unprecedented times. This is an outline for preparing for virtual only showings. I spent the weekend really thinking about how to do this differently, how we can really be ahead of what people are doing, and thinking about things other people haven't thought about out loud on social media. First of all, any agent who is going to do a virtual showings only and sell a house sight unseen must, I underscore, must have a seller's disclosure. That is a lawsuit waiting to happen otherwise. Listen, we need photography. Is the homeowner going to be our photographer? This is not ideal situations, and it's going to be really odd to see happen, but we know that we might be put in that position with people who are stuck. Governor Baker has put down an order that we are non-essential. How are we going to sell homes for our clients who need us? Maybe, and this is awkward and never been done before, sellers are going to take their own photos. And we need to give them a good list of all the rules. And that might include, how to declutter everything. The only thing on surfaces are art. What is the height of the camera? Uh, Mostly shooting lower than standing angle to shoot a room. We're going to try to put together those tips for you so that we can send them out in the event we need them. They're going to have to make sure they're not shooting into the sun. Um, Actually, cloudy days are good for interior shoots. Outdoors, you want really nice sun. They might need to learn to take different areas of their house at different times of day. If they have a wide angle, that would be fantastic. Those new iPhone Max Pros have a wide angle. Most people don't have them. Do they have a tripod? That would help a lot if they did. There are wonderful online resources that they should read about just before they start taking photos, because we're going to get the best we can get. They might be winding up taking their own video. I think some people will have a sense of humor. We could see some pretty fun stuff, and I think people will be very forgiving during these times. Again, if we're not successful, we'll get a redo and we can come back on market. Um, I think that if the homeowner is taking the property photos right in the property remarks, we need to mention that they took their own photos because of the uh, pandemic, and as a result, they're not high quality. So we think buyers don't want to shun them or not be engaged like they would be, because let's admit, they're not going to be as sexy as we usually do. I'm not sure we're going to be able to get any Matterport or floor plan people in if possible, but there are apps that allow people to do their own floor plans inside. And some people might figure that out, or we might be able to give them counsel on those kind of things. Um, One of the things I want to mention is that with people going in and out of houses, home inspectors are still allowed to go into houses according to the governor's ruling. Um, are we asking them to do more than just wash their hands, put booties on? Um, I think that the real thing is bringing viruses in from outside. South Korea was able to nip this in the bud a lot sooner because they were testing healthy people, because it's healthy people who are spreading it. And we need to be aware of that. And hospitals are now using bandanas, scarves. I think people's mouths need to be covered if they're going into a house. Um, so that includes the home inspector, I would think, or anyone that's going to be going in. If anyone has got a photographer or anyone going into a house before Tuesday at noon, we'd like to see their mouth covered at a minimum with all of the other procedures. Let's see. We have to remember the hand washing keeps us healthy. It's people covering their face keeps other people healthy. Let's talk about virtual staging. You can virtually unclutter. You can virtually stage. I think you have to disclose if you are going to do virtual staging very clearly in the MLS remarks. Box Brownie can perform magic, miracles on houses. They can paint rooms, um, and they can add furniture, they can add decor, they can clean it up. We just need to be fully disclosing what we're doing ahead of time. And virtual showings only. Of course, we can see the things online or any videotape that a seller might be able to prepare. But let's talk about new rules for open houses. What if the open houses were in MLS, but you couldn't go inside? What if we held the open houses at dusk when you can see inside the windows and people could actually walk around the house and get a feel for how the house works and looks? I think it might be feasible. Listen, this isn't going to be for everyone. A lot of people aren't going to play. People who don't need to move are not going to want to buy a house sight unseen. People who don't want to play, need to play, aren't going to put their house on the market. But there is a need. In 2008, what we found is 50% of the average sales that we see are needed. That's what happened in 2008. We had 50% amount of the transactions that we had in a normal market during that time. And it's our job at Leading Edge to make sure that you are the agent doing those transactions. If you're doing an open house where people can maybe poke in the windows a little bit, as Greg DiGiorgio calls them, the ultimate window shopping. I think it's really important that you have a specific time, because sellers might want to sequester themselves away and won't want to watch people walking around the yard. They'll be expecting people at a certain time. And I think that's really smart. But have you thought about the need to make sure that you are telling your clients not to start to talk to people outside the window, not to answer questions, disclosure questions? The last thing we need is sellers being helpful and telling people they don't get water in the basement when it is damp after a spring thaw, or that the roof is newer because they did it 18 years ago, or that they've already bought another house. These are the kind of things that will cause all kinds of liability and lawsuits. Sellers, the only thing they should be saying to buyers is, if you have a question, please have your agent reach out to my agent. And that's the way it's going to work. I think that will be okay. Let's see, we've got holding offers. I think a lot of people aren't holding offers thinking, if I get anything, that'll be great. But I think we're going to need time for people to figure out how to do virtual showings, that we're going to have a lot of requests of a homeowner because people can't see it. Hey, can you show me inside the closet? Which is not as part of our photos. Although we all know we're going to need photos of everything. There's a limit to how many photos we can put on MLS. Can you show me inside these appliances? Can you show me in this recessed area of the basement? Show me the crawl space. We're going to need to get information. Sellers are going to have to do the measuring. We know why buyers really want to come back. It's not to measure so much as to see the house again, because we could always get them those refrigerator measurements. Anyone could do that, but they want to get back in to do it. So people like to be inside, and we know that. But I think people also will, there's going to be people who are like, I bought a house during the pandemic. I never even got a chance to get in it. It's going to be a story to tell for some people. There might be a time when a homeowner has to do a FaceTime with the buyer and their agent and you on the phone. Greg DiGiorgio, thank you very much. Up to 6 people can be on a FaceTime call at one time. And Michelle Jocelyn Chavez told me that it's House Party is an app where you can have multiple people on if you're an Android user, so that we can conduct business with people. Remember, agents should be present at all time. We do not want any communication going on between buyers and sellers without us there, because that's when they get themselves in trouble. This is all about adapting, pivoting, and being creative. These extraordinary times call for extraordinary and drastic measures. We are going to be breaking a lot of our own rules. I think people will understand. Ramsey's concerned that we need to make sure that we can show value. Like, if the sellers are there and they have to take their own photos, are they going to feel like, are you worth it anymore? No, we're going to spend all that money on box brownie, which is expensive. You can spend $32, $50 plus a photo. But if you need to do that to make a house shine, it's going to be worth it. Plus, we're on an extraordinary time of trying to keep a deal together, trying to keep things glued together. There has never been a time when buyers or sellers need us more to navigate these challenges. Lastly, I want to say that, as Eileen brought up, and I thought this was brilliant, What about houses that smell of cat? What about slopey floors? What are the things that could be in the house that we we don't know about? Well, I think we need to ask a lot of questions. Again, we should always have a seller's disclosure if we're trying to do this virtually. Too much liability on the company. Absolutely, we are not going to sell anything in this company sight unseen without a very comprehensive seller's disclosure. Um, finding out whether they have cats, finding out whether they do, those pets. Those things are going to be important that we know about them, and we'll have to have relied on sometimes our own noses to fully disclose those things. We're not going to hide those things because that is a disaster. So here's some ideas on virtual showing. We are going to put together the tips for sellers to take their own photography. Again, Box Brownie can make these things look better. Photographers will be allowed into houses till Tuesday at noon tomorrow. After that, I know there's going to be renegades out there. We do not approve of it. We are trying to stop the spread of this virus. And again, it's the healthy people who are causing the problem. So with that, stay super safe. And remember that we're here to support you. And join me on my 9:30 calls. It's good juju. And wasn't it fun to find out this morning that Susan Rudd reported that the Arlington teachers are going to caravan in their cars and go up and down the streets of the elementary schools so that the kids can see their teachers. I mean, this stuff is great. There are good things happening, and real estate's going to change when this is all over. And hopefully, we'll be leaner and meaner and smarter about everything. With that, thanks so much. Bye bye.